So as we start today, I talked a tiny bit about this yesterday when I was talking about selling cars and selling alarms door to door and how those are often jobs that are commission based. And piecework and commission are a different kind of payment, more common in sales type jobs or in like contracts. So I told you guys about the hotel job I had where I furnished hotels. That was piecework. I got paid per basic item count. Commission, like a car salesman or a real estate agent or something, is paid based on sales made. So we're trying to figure out how do you find gross income if doing commission or contract, piecework, or self-employed. So first of all, let's look at this option here, comparing piecework to just a salary with tree planting. And later in the class, I'm going to show you guys I think a very good story about tree planting while you guys are working with it. This is about Carla. Carla's planting tree seedlings for a forestry company. She gets 15 cents a tree. How much does she earn in a week if she plants this many trees? Okay, let's see. Key things here, 15 cents a tree for 4,000 trees or 6,000 trees. Okay, let's figure this out. How would I find her payment in a week if she plants 4,000 trees in a week? What do I do mathematically?
0.15 times 4,000.
Right, it's a rate, so we just multiply it. Nice. So 0.15 times 4,000. So in that case, $0.15 per tree times 4,000 trees gives me $600 per week. Nice job, Carla. Okay, how about 6,000 trees? Well, that's just 6,000 times 0.15, and in that case, she makes $900. So in the first case, $600 in a week. The second case, $900 in a week. Okay. Now let's just talk about this. You can write down one or two things on each if you'd like. But what would be the benefits of being paid per tree? What might that incentivize? What's good about that? What's bad about that? If you're a pretty, let's imagine that you're one of the best tree planters for your company. Do you think you'd like getting paid per tree? If you're one of the very best. If you plant the most trees. Yeah, probably incentivizes doing more trees. If you're one of the people who plants 6,000 trees instead of 4,000 trees, you're probably liking this quite a bit, hey? So that might be a good thing. What's good about this for the company? What does this incentivize? Yeah?
More trees.
Totally. More trees can get planted. Nice. So that's a positive. What might be a negative? What would be bad side of this? Let's think about this situation. Planting trees, working hard, and you mess your ankle up. Suddenly you can't plant as many trees. What's going to happen to your wage? Get a spike or get tanked, eh? And you might say that's fair. You're planting less trees, but certainly from your perspective, you hurt yourself on the job. You're not going to like that very much, okay? Here's one other thing. Let's imagine that the only way that they're checking how many trees are planted is how many trees do you take out in your bag, each day or whatever. Well, maybe Zach's like, hey, I figured out a system. He goes, walks to some spot where no one's looking, dumps his bag of saplings out, goes back, gets more saplings, right? You would have to make sure that the trees are actually being planted, have some reasonable way of kind of making sure your employees are actually doing what they need to do, right? So that would be one thing here, is ensure that the work that's happening is good for this to actually be successful. Okay, so I think that probably describes it. In general, when we talk about piecework, it incentivizes doing more. Sometimes the quality of work may go down if it's just based on numbers, and some people will complain, oh, it might not be fair if something happens, but certainly it's incentivizing getting more work done. Definitely a positive from the company's perspective. Okay, how about this? What about Brad? He's on a contract with a different forestry company. So he has to plant, at least 4,000 trees a week. If he does this, he gets $650. So it's like, okay, you need to plant at least this many. That's the baseline. And if you do that, you get paid this much. How much does he earn if he plants 4,000 trees? Well, he makes $650. Although if he plants 3,990, it doesn't say what he makes, but we can imagine it's much less or nothing. So he better make sure he gets at least 4,000, okay? Okay, what about 6,000? How much does he get in this case? It says he makes $650 as long as he does at least 4,000 trees. Yeah? We would think maybe it would go up, but it actually doesn't say that. Good insight, but it actually doesn't say that. All it says is he gets $650 if he plants at least 4,000. So we don't know if he gets more. He may actually, in this case, just get 650. It sounds like that's all the contract says. Okay, you can probably see what there might be an issue with here, okay? If you get 4,000 trees, this is great, but there's certainly no incentive to plant more than that. And maybe the company has determined 4,000 trees is a reasonable expectation per person, but it certainly doesn't encourage people to go above and beyond, that's for sure, okay? If you were a tree planter, which would you prefer? Yes. Pay per tree, or just 4,000 for 650 and anything else beyond doesn't matter? I think I would prefer to get paid per tree. Right? Just like every tree I plant, I make more money on. That's kind of actually satisfying. I had a very small example of this as a kid. I really wanted to get a trampoline. My parents told me, sure, you can get a trampoline, just, make the money. So I got a paper route. So I delivered the Red Deer Express newspaper. And the Red Deer Express paid me 5 cents a paper. I had 82 houses that I delivered, and it was just a twice-a-week paper. So I made $4.10 a day. Now, and thinking back, I'm like, dude, it took me like an hour every day to do that for $4, whatever. So I'd go out and deliver it, but it's kind of cool. You're like walking along, every house you drop a newspaper off at 5 cents, 5 cents, 5 cents, 5. Right? You just kind of know, oh, I'm actually like tangibly making money each time. And it was actually pretty awesome. I worked at this job for just long enough to buy a trampoline, and then I quit. It was sweet though. And then my parents added to the deal. Once I bought the trampoline, they started realizing that me and my friends were pretty rough on the trampoline. So they very quickly, they had a friend who was a tree digger, like a tree planter, that was his job. So they hired him to come with his big tree spade truck and dig a big hole in our backyard. So then they lowered the tramp like into the ground. So it was super fun. We had a trampoline like dug into our backyard. It's really fun. Lots of good dodgeball and WrestleMania moments on that tramp. Also some fairly significant injuries, but they would have been worse if it was in the air, I think. So that was good. And of course, it was close enough to my parents' house that you could do the jump off the roof thing. Or you could do the jump off the roof thing and try to go over the fence, but then get too scared halfway and not go. That was also a bad one, but okay. Oh man, it sounds like maybe jumping off the roof could have been a reason for it.
No.
No.
So it was a little hard.
Oh, that's pretty good. Housework was always kind of scary. Okay, anyways, so that would be called piecework. Piecework is you get money per item produced, per item planted, whatever. A contract is usually the legal conditions that describe what your payment is or what the deal is. So like for me when I was doing those hotels, it was, okay, I'm agreeing for this amount of money to do this many jobs. I will hang this many headboards, this many mirrors, this many pictures, whatever, at this certain hotel. And then commission, similar, but instead of based on work done, it's based on sales made. Right? So commission is based on sales, piecework is based on the work done. And you may end up with a job where there's both. Like that job I told you guys about where I did the screen doors. My job that was actually wage plus piecework plus commission. Because the way it worked was I would get paid an hourly rate, maybe, I think it was $15 an hour, something like that. But then I would also get a small commission on each door done. I think maybe it was $5 per door installed or something like that. And then there was also sales, and they were really trying to incentivize us to sell more. I think it was like $50 a sale or something like that. I didn't make a single sale the one summer that I worked for. I did make a few sales the other summer, but the first year I didn't get a single sale. That was where the big money was, but I just made my hourly rate plus the piecework. But anyways, that's like the difference. Sales is commission, piecework is job. Okay. And then like self-employed people, it's usually based on you make contracts with someone else, and then they pay you for the contract, right? Okay, let's do some examples of how we calculate this. So Reba, she's a seamstress. She gets $12.50 on some contract for each dress that she sews. Okay, $12.50 per dress. What's her gross income if she sews 42 dresses? Well, like Hayden pointed out earlier, we have a rate here, so we're just going to multiply it. So 42, and I'm actually going to write units here just so we can see kind of why the multiplication thing works. So we have 42 dresses, and she gets paid $12.50 per every dress. And you can see how it's almost like, okay, what we're talking about cancels out and we're left with the cost per doing all of them. So we have $12.50 times 42. So in this case, what's her gross income for this week or whatever? Well, she makes $525 based on sewing 42 dresses. 42 times 12.5. Or how about Raj? Raj works as a car salesman making straight commission. So he just gets sales, no salary. Okay, now the one tricky thing with commission on something like this is it's not commission based on the cost sold, it's based on the market. It's based on how much profit is made. So in a case like this, Raj sells a car that's worth $30,000, but he sells it for $42,000. So first of all, how much does the dealership make? So what's the markup? Well, we better subtract this to find it out. And since they have the same amount of zeros, let's just go 42 minus 30. So we have $12,000 markup. $12,000 markup. And by the way, let's just think about how this works here. So if you go to buy a car at a dealership, the salesperson is allowed to negotiate. Right? Zach and I are negotiating on a car. He's the salesperson. I'm trying to buy one from him. I want to buy a nice new Dodge Viper. He's going to sell it to me. Thank you, sir. So it's marked, or it's listed for, let's say, $100,000. I'm like, yeah, right, this is a dream. But let's imagine this is a world in which Mr. Boyce can go buy a $100,000 car. You guys can just picture me in my room of money. So I'm going in to go buy this car from Zach, and the truth is, for him, and I have no idea what the actual numbers are, but let's say that the cost to the dealership is $60,000, let's say. But it's listed for $100,000. Zach basically has a latitude to negotiate anywhere within there, but he's going to get paid based on how much the markup is. So it's better for him to get more markup, but it's best to make sure he makes a sale. Right? So I say, okay, $100,000, man, that's way too steep, no chance. And in his head, he's thinking, well, I can go all the way down to $60,000. That's what the cost to us is. But I still want to make good money on this sale. So it's okay. I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a deal just for you because I like you because you were my math teacher. You know, you did me so well. I'll cut $2,000 off and I'll throw in an extra seat cover or something like that. It's like, oh, $90,000. Come on, man. You can do better than that. Like, I know you're just trying to rip me off. So okay. Here's the deal. I know that down the road they're selling them for $95,000. So for you, Mr. Boyce, because you know you're my teacher who I completely owned in basketball at one time, I'll give it to you for $90,000. Okay, great, good deal. And I'm thinking I got such a smoking deal. Hey, whoa, you took $10,000 off from you. Meanwhile, Zach's thinking, oh man, I made $30,000 for the dealership on this deal, the markup, right? So recognize that the price at the dealership is actually probably quite a bit higher than they're expecting to sell it for. And in that case, he would have made $30,000 markup and probably some percentage commission. So in this case, Raj gets 15% commission on the markup of the car. Okay, so what's Raj's commission for that sale? Well, 15%, 0.15, times the markup, that's that, so times the $12,000. So 12,000 times 0.15. And that means that Raj, on this sale, made $1,800. Nice doing business to you. That's a very tidy piece of business for Raj. He's pretty pleased with that, hey? And in lots of situations, at a car dealership, the salespeople are paid straight commission. Oftentimes it would be initially salary, or salary plus a bit of commission, and then they can work toward commission because the possibility of income is much higher for commission for a salesperson in general. It's just less stable, right? It's like highs and lows. You have a day where you sell a car, $1,800, holy smokes, good job. But then the rest of the week you don't make a sale, right? Being aware that's kind of how those go. Okay, how about this? This is a decent example of working at Best Buy or something like that. The way someone at the cashier might get sold or might make money. So first of all, Whitney is a cashier. She makes a base wage plus a commission. Now the commission is just on extended warranty sales, so a small part of what's sold. But that's okay. So let's see. First of all, she earns $10.40 an hour. She worked 18 hours. We know how to do this. Rate of $10.40 per hour. She works 18 hours. So 10.4 times 18. So that is $187.20. That's your base salary, or base wage. But then she also earns a 5% commission on these extended warranty sales. She sold $575 in extended warranties and gets 5% of that. 575 times 0.05. Man, it's hot today. I'm starting to cook. 28.75. Okay. So then what is Whitney's total income? Well, that much plus the 187.20. So she brings home $215.95. Good. And how did we get that? Well, that was this plus this. Add those two things up, right? How's that looking? Piecework, commission, we know what we're talking about? I'll let you guys practice a bit. I do not think this will take you the whole class. That's okay. I've given you a review package also to start chunking through. And I'm going to play a little clip from a very famous Canadian short story writer, Stuart McLean. He wrote something called Vinyl Cafe, Stories from Vinyl Cafe. He has a great story about his daughter planting trees. I'll play that for you guys as a work. Okay?